Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Scred Advanced series. Name's probably not the best, but anyway, here's the timestamps. Okay, so in the last tutorial, we showed how to get the cat to move around, and it's pretty good, but why would we move around if there's nothing to do? So in this tutorial, we're going to add these apples that you can collect by walking over to them. And then what we're going to do is keep score of how many apples you've eaten. So this tutorial is probably going to be a bit longer, and we might as well just get right started into it. So first up, what you want to do is go down here to this icon, click on choose a sprite, and then here's the apple right here. So you can click on the apple, and there, now you have an apple sprite. And while we're here, we might want to rename the cat to cat instead of sprite 1. So we have the apple here. Now, what I want to do is have it so that every time you eat the apple, it randomly goes around. And there's a very easy way to do that. So we'll start with a when flag clicked block, because most things start with that. Then go to motion, and there's a very handy block here called go to random position. If you click that, you'll see the apple randomly jumps around. So we can just put that there, and now when we click it, the apple will randomly go somewhere. But you might notice we can't actually eat it yet. So what we need to try and detect the cat. So if we go here and get an if block here again, and then we go to sensing, and we get this touching block, and put it in there, and set it to cat. So if he's touching the cat, then whatever's in here will happen. And we want to make sure we're checking for that forever. So now what we want to do is, if he's touching the cat, he'll move. And now, look at that. With just that, we now have this sort of game. But it's kind of dull because not much is happening. So let's add some sound. If we go into sound here, there's already a chomp sound effect here. But I didn't think that sound isn't the best, so we can actually find a better sound. If you type in chomp, it's that. But if you type in bite, you have this sound effect. So now if we go back to the code, we can play this bite whenever he does it. Ta-da. Okay, but how do we know how many apples we had that kind of... But how do we know how many apples we've eaten? Well, we can use something that's very handy called variables. Variables let you store numbers and letters, and when you get advanced, they are very useful. Here, I'll pop up how many variables I have in my most complex game on the screen here. Okay, so yeah, we're not going to be that complex, obviously. We're just going to use one. So what we're going to do is right-click on this, and we're going to click Rename Variable. So we can call it. You can call it like score or apples. I'm going to go with apples, but you can call it whatever you want. And now we want to click this tick box here to show it. And now you can see that. But it's not actually doing anything because we haven't done any code with it. So basically, every time we get an apple, we want this to get higher. So we tell it to do exactly that. Every time it touches the cat, then it should change the apples by 1. And now watch this. Every time we eat the apple, it goes up. However, there's one thing we still need to do. If we stop and reset, it still has 11 apples. And you probably want the game to reset back to 0. So what we do is we set the apples back to 0, make sure you don't do it forever, just at the start, so that when you reset the game, it can reset back to 0. And that's it for this tutorial. I want to try and keep the tutorial short, but as well. So yeah, you could play around with changing the apple or having a different food, whatever you want. Comment links to your games and I'll have a try of them. And in the next tutorial, I want to try and make this like a maze game and add walls, so look out for that.